Hello my friends. Today we're in my hometown of Glade Spring, Virginia. We're here at my newest listing and it is a true treasure to the area. Serber Son has been in business for nearly 40 years and has served its community well. We're going to go inside and show you what's special about it. And we're also going to talk later in the video about why it's special to me. So join me. I'm Daniel Shue, the old house agent. I'm a real estate agent and I specialize in old and historic homes in Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. I've dedicated my career to preserving these places while helping others discover the joy of owning a piece of our region's past. On this channel, you'll find restoration journeys, history, and honest insight into what it truly takes to bring old houses back to life. And I'm grateful to have you along for the adventure. Glade Spring, Virginia is a small town with a population of just over 1,400 people, but it sits in a surprisingly strategic place. Glade, as the locals call it, is located just a few minutes from Emory and Henry University and less than 10 minutes from Appington, the county seat of Washington County, and home to the Barter Theater, regional healthcare, and a growing arts scene. That proximity gives the town a unique balance. It has the quiet scale of a rural community, but quick access to education, employment, and cultural life. Before Glade Spring was a town, it was a place. Long before storefronts, rail lines, or paved roads. This valley was known for its water, its land, and its productivity. The name Glade Spring comes from a natural spring that flowed out into open grazing land, a glade, and it became a natural stopping point for travelers and settlers moving through Southwest Virginia. In the early 1800s, this area was part of a working agricultural landscape. What later became Glade Spring was once part of a large plantation. Like much of this region at the time, hemp was one of the primary crops. Hemp was not unusual here. It was used for rope, sacks, and farm goods, and Southwest Virginia was well suited for growing it. That large tract of land is traditionally associated with the Allison and Byers families, early and influential families in this part of Virginia. As the 19th century moved on, Glade Spring began to shift from plantation land to village. The arrival of the rail line in the late 1800s changed everything. What had once been farmland became a crossroads. Businesses followed the tracks, homes followed the businesses, and Glade Spring grew into a true town. By the early 1900s, the town had taken on the shape we recognize today. Commercial buildings went up in town square. Trades and services rooted themselves here. This became a place where people worked, shopped, worshiped, and raised families, not just passed through. And that's the important part of Glade Spring's story. It has always been shaped by usefulness, from hemp fields to rail commerce to family-run businesses that serve generations. This town has never been ornamental. It has always been practical, working, and rooted in daily life. When you walk through Glade Spring today, you're walking through layers of that history. Agricultural land turned town, railroad stop turned community, and buildings that continue to serve long after their original purpose has changed. That continuity matters here. It always has. Some buildings don't just sit in a town, they hold it together. Here in Glade Spring, Virginia, one of those places has always been Surber Son. For decades, this has been the kind of store where you could find anything you were looking for. A bolt you couldn't find anywhere else, a part that had been sitting on the shelf since before you were born, and advice that came with a story. Advice from someone behind the counter who knew your family, knew your house, and usually knew what you were fixing before you finished explaining it. Places like this do not happen by accident. They grow slowly, through trust, through routine, through being useful day after day. In small Appalachian towns like Glade, hardware stores were never just a retail space. They were gathering places, problem-solving centers, and a place where work, weather, and local news crossed paths in the same aisle. This building reflects that history. This property is made up of two buildings, both built in the early 1900s. Long before Surber Son ever opened its doors, these walls were already part of the daily life of Glade Spring. For nearly 40 years, it has done its job well, holding inventory, conversations, and a whole lot of community memory inside these walls. Serber Son was started in the 1980s by Jack Surber and his son Tony. Tony, his family, and his staff have served the community with care for decades, and they have done it the right way. Now this place stands at a transition point, not an ending, but an open door. Tony, a friend to my family and so many others, has made the decision to retire and pass this building to its next caretaker. Listing this property for sale is not about losing something. It is about recognizing that places like this deserve continuity, not closure. They deserve someone who understands that the value here is not measured only in square footage or spreadsheets. The meaning is already built in. Glade Spring has always been shaped by people who show up, stayed, and cared. The next chapter of this building can follow that same pattern. Some buildings are worth saving because of how old they are. Others are worth saving because of how useful they are. This is both. Okay, so where we're standing right here was a special section to me where there were all kinds of little trinkets over here, and there's plaster of Paris and things that I used to buy to take home and make stuff with, and it was a lot of fun. And still today you'll find some antiques and stuff here. This area over here is starting to fill up with seeds already in preparation for spring. And I used to love to come back here as a teenager and see what Tony would have on display back here. Sometimes this stuff is for sale. A lot of times back then it wasn't, but it's always fun to see what's up there. Matter of fact, nothing is for sale. And then coming through this door, it sort of expanded later. When I was really little, you didn't come back into this section, and they changed it back here and added some inventory, and then also expanded that direction too. I mean, it really is different to have a place like this where you can find like all these elements for stoves and stuff that a lot of this you can't find at big box stores. So Surber Son doesn't just consist of one building. There are two buildings, 206 and 208 Town Square. This is the building to the left that they use for storage right now. But it's a great building. It's got a really cool entrance here with these large windows. You've got plenty of room for expansion in here. I mean, you could cut a hole in the wall, a big hole because it's a brick wall, and you could expand over into this area. You could continue to use it for storage. You could open a little sandwich shop in here. There's all kinds of things that are possible. It's a really neat space. The floor is in great condition. You've got a really neat old tin ceiling. I mean, it's had some things done to it for the heat and air system, so you could potentially take these tins out and reuse them somewhere else. And there are two bathrooms right here. And then here's your heat and air system. So, you know, take a little bit of work to cover these ducts up and things like that. Or you could utilize what it is and do like a lot of restaurants are doing now and just paint over the ductwork. But yeah, it's a great area. I think this building is a huge asset to the property. I think it's a really good looking building and an interesting space, and I just love the windows and the door up front. With 206 and 208 Town Square in Glade Spring, Virginia, you get 2 buildings, 2 one-bed, one-bath apartments, all in 5,000 square feet for $525,000, with all inventory included. So when you purchase Serber Son, you get much more than an established business in 2 buildings. The second floor, 2 beautiful apartments that you can use for a long-term rental, short-term rental. You could live there, sky's the limit. Let's check them out. In the early 90s, the Glade Spring Town Square almost became a ghost town, but Surber Son weathered the storm, and then finally later people began to invest in these buildings and revitalize them and make it quite a lively place again. The buildings here were pretty much built between 1901 and the 1930s, and it's quite a diverse group of buildings, and the architecture is unique for Southwest Virginia. While a lot of these buildings used to be empty, I have a lot of memories as a child riding over here with my bicycle and exploring things. And one of the most fun things to do was to go to Surber Son and see what we could get into there. But I'm so glad to see these buildings revitalized and some energy come back into this area again. My family appears to have moved to Glade Spring around 1850 from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My father grew up just down the street from Serber Sun. My sister still lives about 400 feet from it, and some of my earliest memories are in that space. My mom would eagerly await the moment that the spring plants arrived out front, and she was even happier when the tomato plants arrived. When we walked inside, whoever was working that day would say, "Hey Dan, hey Norma, y'all doing okay today?" I would run toward whatever I was into at the time. They carried plaster of Paris and many other things that I used to create art with. I still have a small knife that my mom grabbed for me as a stocking stuffer when we were having a relatively thin Christmas. As an adolescent, I often walked with my niece, Brittany, to get a Dr. Pepper out of the vending machine beside the front door. And sometimes we walked through the store just to see what was in there, what kind of antiques were sitting around on display or for sale. You see, I speak of my memories there because it is one of the many stories that families such as mine have. If you grew up around Glade Spring, Meadowview, or Saltville, you probably have a memory of this store. Thank you so much for watching. If you love old houses as much as I do, then I invite you to follow along on all my platforms. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can follow along on Facebook for daily posts, and for a deep dive into history and real estate, you can subscribe to my newsletter. At theoldhouseagent.com, you're going to find valuable resources, regional history about Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, plus all my current listings. All these likes, shares, and subscriptions to these videos help keep the stories of these places alive. I'm Daniel Shue, the Old House Agent, and I'll see you on the next video.